No, don't oink. We don't want to kick you. Hello, readers. Welcome to 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author, where we ask authors important questions like, why would you agree to be on this podcast? I'm Kelly Lynn Colby, editorial director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. Our guest this week is Brie Tart, writer of dynamic fantasies and cartoon artist. Brie is inspired by mythology and folklore, which infuses itself into her series, The Exiles of Ire and Heart of Hellfire. When not writing, she dabbles in drawing cartoons and deciphering languages, and makes her own adventures with her family. If she's not your favorite now, she will be after. Good evening, Brie. Welcome.
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 Hi.
I am here. I am ready. See, for all of you who only listen to this on YouTube or on our, on Spotify or wherever it is you get your podcast, you miss out on the cool stuff we talk about beforehand. I mean, we've had whole discussions already, so y'all should really come to us live. It's fun. But Brie, I have some questions. So it says you like to adventure with your family. What kind of adventures do you do with your family?
Well, for the most part, it's going on anything from let's go to this local ice cream place that is really like the flavors change every day, or let's go to Nashville for a week so we can see a concert by this obscure band that my partner got me into. And yeah, so it's just, stuff like that. Me and him have a lot of fun, and then him and his parents are very adventurous, so they drag me along, and I have fun too.
You're like, I mean, if you're paying, I'm in. Yeah, I'm in.
Best in-laws ever.
Right? Oh, I don't know. Mine are pretty awesome. We might have to fight over that. So we've had quite a few artists on this show that create with more than just words. So what is it about like cartoon art that you find so inspiring?
Well, I'm a kid of the Disney Renaissance, starting specifically in 1989 with A Certain Mermaid. And I've been addicted to that form of storytelling ever since. Two-dimensional is what I tend to prefer, but 3D stuff, I like Frozen, I like Moana, Pixar does amazing things. But yeah, Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and we cannot discount Don Bluth, Secret of Nim.
Yes.
And then, of course, An American Tail and Fievel Goes West. That one I actually saw first, and I liked it better. But
you saw it first, you were tainted.
This is something that I could go on for a while. But yeah, there's a lot of really fun things to do with, and after I got into Disney as a kid, I found anime. So that just kind of put the final nail on the coffin for developing my art style. And I do kind of prefer a semi-stylized realism Western kind, but you can see some of the anime manga influences in there if you really want to overthink it. And I just enjoy digital illustration.
That's really cool. So is any of that, like, have you like drawn art and it's like inspired your written words?
Yes, and a lot of times it goes the other way around as well. I like drawing characters, and I actually did some work in independent comic books for a while. It was editing, so not the actual drawing part, but there was a 24-hour comic book day where I did help make some of the panels. So,
cool.
Yeah, that was all around an exciting experience.
That's awesome. How fun. I've always wanted to draw. I cannot draw. I cross stitch. I like imitate other people's art.
So drawabox.com is a great free series of like course lessons for getting down your drawing fundamentals. And the big thing is it teaches based on exercises, repetition, muscle memory. So it's a very good way to teach yourself or learn how to draw if you want to try and develop that skill. That's the big thing. I'm a big believer in like writing it. You can have some innate talent, but it will only get you so far. You've got to develop the skill, and people who have
100%.
no idea how to draw can do
That's what I
great
preach
things.
over and over again, right? We talk
Yep.
about art talent, but art in all the forms I've ever known and all the successful artists I have ever known, it's about the skill they work on.
Mm-hmm.
Always, always, always. Now, if you're talented, just naturally talented, and you work your butt off on this skill, well, then I don't like you because I'm very jealous. But skill will always win over talent because the hard work's what's important.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
only when you have both. But why do you think like so many authors also practice other forms of art? Like I know very few authors that all they do is write. There are some, but some also do art. You know, some also do sewing. Some also do. You know what I mean? There's other things. Some love to bake, right? So what? Why do you think? What is it about authors that they just like to do something else as well?
I think this is something in general for all creatives because my husband is a Renaissance man who does music composition, plays bass, also writes, also does poetry, also does, pro wrestling, which is a performance art.
Yeah.
So, I feel the same because I do writing, drawing for visual art. I've done sewing before. I even made a couple plushies. And I feel like with creatives in general, our heads are so active, it's hard we pick one that we want to do as our main creative outlet, but other things, other ideas start to needle. So we need multiple outlets to, really feel fulfilled.
Yeah, makes sense. It's definitely how I feel for sure. I have to always be creating something. I love to create something out of nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it was ingredients and now it's this gorgeous cake, right? Or it's like I said, I like to cross stitch, but I can't do the ones that have the pattern printed on them
Mm,
because I'm like, but it's already created. It's right there. You know, I like it being blank so I can create it on there. Right?
exactly.
So, yeah, I totally that's a great answer. I love it. Well, let's talk about your books. I mean, that is why you're here, right? I mean, we could just hang too. That's fine.
Well, I also
Um,
thought you were cool. So,
Right? I know. See, I am. I am totally cool. Don't listen to anything my husband says. All right. In irony and irony. I wrote irony instead of iron. Now there's a whole nother book. Irony and Ivy. There you go.
shh, blame autocorrect.
That's right. In Iron and Ivy, you start with the magical birth of your main character, which is a common trope because it's really powerful. So I'm wondering, why did you decide to introduce your world in this way?
Well, it at first it was kind of a debate. The story technically starts later in the main character's life, and uh, they're but it's an essential event and really capturing that perspective since her mom is such a key player in her life, such a key motivator for her throughout that book and throughout the rest of the series too. I felt like it was really important to, kind of delve into it with something that was both plot relevant, impactful, and, played with the whole taboo about prologues. They're not for everybody, but this one felt more essential.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it worked. Like the whole point of the prologue is if you do it right, you're hooking the reader.
Exactly.
Right? It's some problem is most of the time they're not done very successfully, but this was awesome. I was immediately interested in your Faye. So that is really well done. But I do love that you talked about so your main character that her mom is like an integral part of it. And of course we see that
Mm-hmm.
a bit, right? But a lot of times in YA, the parents are either both dead or they're out of the picture altogether, or they are actually a hindrance to what's going on. So why did you just
Me to write this series.
Mhm.
And I noticed that a lot of it was you have the main character, main girl, who's special hidden magical talent in some way, and usually wants to go off into the immortal world and romance whatever supernatural himbo they come across. And I like a lot of those love interests, and when done well, they're great. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to subvert that. And this isn't really spoilers. She doesn't have magical powers. In fact, it's something that gets in her way a lot and is the source of a lot of trauma, we'll say, because what is YA fantasy without, traumatizing your main characters? So
It's about a requirement, I think. Not just YA
yeah,
fantasy, just in fantasy, period. Yes.
exactly. So like having that sense of family and connection was something I wanted to anchor her, to give her more of a reason than just, I want to go back to my normal life. Because when you have those people who are like, no, I want to go back to my normal life where I have no friends and I have no family and I have no, stuff tying me down, I don't believe it. You have this wonderful paradise world. Why would you want to go back
Why do
to
you
the
want to go
mundane
back?
place? So I wanted to give her reasons that she wanted to go back to the mundane place.
Yeah, it makes so much more sense. I love it. Who do you think this series is for? Like, what age
Well,
group would you recommend, or what reader would like this one?
I recommend 14 and up.
Mhm,
That's what I put in the front page with
mhm,
the any content warnings, spoiler free.
mhm,
So, if somebody doesn't want to read them, they can skip right past it.
mhm,
But I wrote this book for people like me when I was in high school. I read this great book by Melissa Marr called Wicked Lovely. It was during when Twilight hit and everyone was doing the paranormal fantasy romance thing.
mhm.
You saw a bunch of those couples, and you saw all of that stuff where they made great stories. I enjoyed Twilight myself. I'm rereading it right now, and it's fun looking back. But
Mhm.
that book really impacted me because it did turn a lot of these tropes and a lot of these narratives I was seeing on their heads. So I wanted to make something that, the characters spoke to me, and I wanted to turn them into something where I like character driven stories. So um, I thought, well, what if this whole framework that we have, why don't we flip that on its head and make it something scary and make it something that's, a lot more Holly Black-esque instead of Sarah J. Maas, as far as the fae fiction fandom spectrum goes.
Mhm.
Also, it's fun. I grew up in fandoms and stuff, so I wanted to make something that I'd be a fan of, so other people could squee with me about, this story that was just fun and
This
these
cool
kinds
part.
of stories to share.
I love it. I love it. It's a great, great reason. So what about your Heart of Hellfire series? Who would love this one? Because that one's very different, has very different tone.
Yes, that one's the adult series, and I
Mhm,
don't get super explicit when it comes to the, physical, sexy side of things,
mhm.
but it has a lot more references. It is a lot more violent and gory. And that was a product of my urban fantasy phase where,
I think we've all had that phase. I'm not sure I'm out of it
yeah,
yet, quite frankly.
it depends. Yeah, I've been reading a lot of Karen Marie Moning's Fever series, which is wonderful world building. And there's just a few, like, as the series goes on, I just got kind of tired of it, unfortunately. And Kalena Price has her Alex Craft series that's really good, and it actually finishes. But yeah, and Dresden Files and all of that. I was inspired by those stories, but I also had a lot of these characters lurking in my head from when I used to do text-based role playing as a kid, and they were just sitting there like, do something with us. We have our own story we want to tell. So naturally, I put them in all kinds of different settings, and it just didn't work. And
Mm,
suddenly they get put in this one, and it's like, oh, this happens. So, as far as answering your actual question for who this would be good for, people who like really strong, uh, ladies in the driver's seat and not just, badass fighting skills, but also, badass ladies who have to learn how to be vulnerable. And they're the ones in the driver's seat the whole time, because a lot of the guys in this series, again, I like playing with flipping stuff on their heads. You see a lot of alpha males, a lot of big muscular guys. This series doesn't necessarily have that. It's got some romance in there, but all the guys are unabashed nerds.
I was saying, we don't all want alpha males.
Exactly.
I have no interest in alpha males. It's not my thing.
There was an Amazon review that encapsulated what I was going for really perfectly, where I don't want to keep reading these fantasy books where the guys keep throwing themselves at the girl and they're just perfect and all this, and I wanted something that felt more grounded. I like grounded fantasy. I like where you get to explore the characters, and yes, there's the fantasy aspect, but there's also a lot of raw humanity there.
I love it. I love it. Well, that was my next question, because you have kick-ass female leads in both of these series. Which one do you relate to the most?
Well, I'm gonna cheat a little bit, since there's technically 4 leads in both series. But
no, you only can choose one. Sorry, it's the rules.
Oh no, I know, but I'm going to widen my scope a little bit. The one, okay. I'd say it had to be either Maya from the Exiles of Ire series, or Lucy, who's the daughter from the Heart of Hellfire series. Both of them are very strong in their ways, but in a more subdued way than Helen, the mom character in the Heart of Hellfire series, just because Helen, she's buff fighter, biker. She beats people up, and she has no clue what she's doing when it comes to actually being a mom.
Mothering her. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's really fun to play with. But as far as my own personal identity and stuff, Maya and Lucy share a lot of my, Lucy's got a lot of my artistic traits, daydreamy, trying to be organized, and liking Disney cartoons.
Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, whereas Maya, despite having a lot of hard stuff she's had to go through and having to grow up really fast, which I didn't necessarily have to do growing up, she also has that, familial bond with her mom and her just her friends. She's very much someone who needs other people, even though she is very independent, and she can isolate herself sometimes, and that's something that I relate to as well.
Excellent. Nice job avoiding the question. I think that's funny.
Wait,
look, you gave us a lot of really good stuff. You just didn't make a choice, but that's okay. It's okay.
Okay, between the two, I relate more to Lucy.
Oh, look at that. Look at
Lucy's
that.
Lucy's the daughter, by the way.
Yes, the daughter in the Hellfire series. Yes. Okay, so between these two series we're talking about, which one gave you the most trouble when you were writing it?
That one's definitely the Exiles of Ire series. Not necessarily because it was more difficult to get into the characters' heads, but because it has 2 to 3 perspectives that I have to jump between. The first 2 books that are in the series go between Maya and the other protagonist, Dare, or Dara, technically is how you say his name. It's Irish Gaelic, so I do my best to pronounce it, but sometimes it just comes out wrong.
You're like, I just have to spell it right, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And the third perspective is Riona, And, no spoilers, but, she does become a lot more major as the series goes on. And having to jump between the three of them, you've got Maya, who's very grounded and very earthy and very just human, modern mindset, uh, pithy, and she likes punk music. And you have that. And then you have the most femboy, prissy, royal, angsty mama's boy in Dada, who is wonderful. I love him too. And then you have Riona, who is this bundle of complex emotion and trauma and vengeance. And having to jump between these three very different people and get inside all of their heads, boom, 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 in sequence, can be challenging while weaving a story that's more complex with political intrigue and supernatural, feudalism.
In a made-up world instead of ours, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly. The fun portal fantasy aspects.
Fun. Hey, it's really fun to read. Sometimes writing it, not so fun. So no, I'm with you. I get that. In the end, it will be, but there are moments.
It's just more complicated.
Yeah,
so
there
that
are
makes
moments
it more challenging.
when you're like, why did I do this to myself?
Yeah. But the Heart of Hellfire is just one perspective, one timeline. You don't have to jump anywhere. You just go.
Just go. Just enjoy the ride. Hang on tight.
Exactly.
I love it. So Friday wants to know, who is the one character that you would want to have breakfast with? And on the other side, who would you like to go out on a girls' night with?
Okay, so breakfast. Probably the character Dylan from the Heart of Hellfire series, just because he knows all of the really yummy junk food places to go to. He would know the best brunch places. He would know where the best fried food was. He would be able to take me somewhere that tasted great, would be sweet because he's got a big sweet tooth, and so do I. So, and he's friendly and fun to hang out with in small doses, depending on who you are.
Which is breakfast or brunch. Yeah, that works for me. That's perfect. Yeah.
And having a girls' night, that one's harder because a lot of the characters in this, a lot of the lady characters in this series are a lot more hardcore than I am when it comes to entertainment. That one, I'd probably want to go with Maya, just because, you're going to get a nice concert, go to the punk rock show, get some burgers afterwards, hang out and talk all night afterwards.
She's not going to cause a fight with the local person next to her.
Exactly. She's not going to bust you into a biker bar, start something, and then you guys have to fight your way out. Or she's not going to take you on some epic revenge quest. Or she's not going to, make sure you're waking up the next morning, and you don't know who you're sleeping beside.
Right, like, I don't know what just happened.
Yeah.
I love it. You're like, I want adventure, but maybe not that much.
Yeah, either that or Bridget, whose daughter's aunt, who comes a little ways into book one of the series. She's really cool, really mom-like. So going with her, you'd probably just get all your favorite comfort foods, cry over
the margaritas,
stuff.
And that's it.
Yep, no, she's more of a hard mead ale girl.
Oh, good for her.
Oh no, she's definitely more, think Viking.
Gotcha. Drank too many bottles this weekend. Okay. I'm out though. This is horrible. I need more. No, I don't need more. So when you share this later, you'll want to feature something. What do you want to tell? What do you want me to ask you about? What do you want to share with us? There's
a deer in headlights look. Okay, so
I mean, if that's what you want to share with us, that's okay. We don't mind.
Well, I've got quite a few things coming up. I'm working on book 4 out of 5 of the Exiles of Ire series. So that one's going to be wrapping up pretty soon. And book 4, things are getting pretty intense because it's one continuous story.
Yep, we're heading to the end. So yeah, it's
Exactly.
hardcore at this point.
Yeah, so that's going to come out later this year. And if anybody wants to get into it now would be a good time for it. My website where you can sign up for updates or read the blogs, see extras is www.brietart.com. All my social media stuff is on there as well, but just in case, my Instagram is where I am more often. That handle is at Brie, BRIE _Tart, TART. And everything else, Twitter or, excuse me, Twitch even is at Brie Tart, no underscore.
Excellent. In your household, in our household, we say as long as you have bread and peanut butter, we have food. What do you have to have in your pantry?
Similar. Bread, peanut butter, grape jelly, and milk.
Yes.
Cereal is also essential, and tuna and rice recently.
Oh, nice.
These are good staple foods, and strawberries and whipped cream, because that is like the best simple dessert ever.
There's dessert, man. Just done. It's all I need. What weird thing do you collect?
I'm trying to think, because I collect a few things, and I'm trying to think what's the weird one. It's not that weird, but black and white cat paraphernalia. I have.
So like the cat is black and white, not like it's black and
no,
white, like black and white.
Black and white cats.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
So I unfortunately both of them have crossed the rainbow bridge, but Misha and Cass were the cats that
Misha and Cass.
Yes, if you understand the reference. Awesome. But yeah, they've since moved on. But Misha was a tuxedo, and Cass was this gorgeous, blue-eyed, white, long-furred angel. They are both really sweet girls, and because of that, I gained both me and my husband gained this habit of whenever we see something that's a black and white cat or a white cat with blue eyes or a black and white tuxedo cat or just even a black cat, because Misha was mostly black, we will pick it up. And this has also led us to getting 4 Squishmallow, I think they're called, 4 of those, and a white cat teapot, and my family has added to it. I also have a little it's like a Japanese or Chinese, kind of an Asian style teacup with a black and a white cat. And I'm trying to think of some. Oh, he also got me tuxedo cat foot massaging sandal things. And yeah, it's a whole thing with us.
I love it. That's the best answer to this question we've had yet. Yeah. Friday says she loves Dean. I mean, we all love Dean. We can't help it.
Yes, Dean girl, all the way.
Yeah, same. You can't help it. Here's the thing though, that you would be with me today then, because Misha's doing the new show, like a new Gotham show or something on CW. So I was like, what? I need to watch that. I don't even know what it is. I don't even care. Misha's on it. And he plays Harvey Dent. Yes, I know. I'm like, I'm in. Anyways, he was on the Today Show, and they were like, Misha, by the way, he's really clean cut. And you can tell he's been working out. Like we need to see the show. And so Misha was on the Today Show, right? And they said, and known for playing on Supernatural, playing Castiel. I was like, no, it's Castiel. It's Castiel. Do your research.
No, I've gotten that so many times at the vet, because that was the full name we put on Cass's papers, was Castiel. And it was like, Castile. No.
Even if you don't know, I mean, it's obviously the angel name. You don't know how to say angel names? I mean, come on. Yeah, no,
Well,
it
not
was funny.
everybody's in angelology.
What's wrong with these people? No, it was funny. So you would share my ridiculous. Like Misha didn't even correct them because he's such a gentleman. But I know in his head he said Castiel.
Yeah.
I
I'm
guarantee you he
wondering,
did.
do you spell Cass with 2 S's or 1 S?
I used to with one S because that's where it was. But after I found out that he spells it with 2 S's because that's what it was on the script, I now spell it with 2 S's. He spells it with two because that is how it was on the script. He even put up pictures of the script. And so it said Cass. So I was like, all right, you know what? Good enough for me. It's wrong, but okay, good enough for me.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am because I have a friend named Cassandra and her name is Cass. So, like, I don't know.
But
If it's
Cassandra has two
Castiel, it's
S's,
1 S.
unless, her mom spelled it differently, right? On the certificate.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so that's why. So whoever wrote the script, they're the ones that did it. So that's why it's like that. I'm like, what do you say? I maybe when I'm procrastinating sometimes watch like supernatural videos on YouTube. Okay. They're very bad for me.
But they're so pretty.
I know. But they're also really smart and funny and talented and
I
hilarious.
know. If you've seen Jensen perform his music, the
He's
man
got a
actually
band.
he can actually sing. And
You
it's
know he's
like,
got a band?
yeah, and
Yeah.
the music sounds gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then I see him singing Eye of the Tiger,
Yeah.
while air guitaring on his leg. And I'm just like, and him and Jared singing Bon Jovi in season 3, which makes me cry. And I'm like, you were faking that the whole time?
I know. It makes me happy. It makes me happy. So, next for our fans of Supernatural podcast. Look, the show was on 15 years. There's a lot of us, okay?
There's a lot of show, too.
There's a lot of show. I love it. Like, that's my go-to when I just need something in the background, because I've seen them all 1,000 times, right? I need something in the background. It's perfect to put it back there. It's like listening to music. It doesn't even distract me anymore, except certain scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, when the writing is slow, see, I'm going to get back to the podcast. Here we go. See, I have questions written for a reason. See, when the writing is slow, what do you do to get your mojo back?
Well, I have ADHD, as we covered before the podcast, or before the podcast middle part, a little bit. And so I have to use a lot of those kinds of coping mechanism strategies to make sure I stay on track. I use checklists, I use like consistency. Habits Habitica is a great resource.
Habitica is a great tool for me as well. I'm with you.
And recently, I've started trying to tackle when I get stuck, there's a reason behind it. I just need to unravel it in my brain. Either that or it's that, motivational hump that a lot of neurodiverse people face, and, neurotypical people too. Where you can't get over the hump because the motivation's not there. But if I just make a little commitment, like 5-10 minutes, and I get over the hump, then the hyperfocus kicks in and I can get going. Or I just exposition for 3 or 4 dozen pages, and then the scene finds me, and then I can get going more organically.
Yeah, but then it's time to cook dinner, and you have no more time. That's what happens to me. It's very frustrating.
It's productive. It feels like wasted words, but no, it's productive. Though I am going to try cutting that down a bit by getting into something that's supposed to be a little more organic, like editing as you go, using Dean Wesley Smith's Writing into the Dark method, where he like cycles back, every few, however many words, make sure it's, nice, and you commit to the idea, and then you go and grow it from there. And I'm really intrigued, and so far it's been working with the latest secret little project I'm working on.
Well, I outline, like seriously outline, but that method still works better for me when I'm outlining too.
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes I get off track on the outline. Sometimes it's better and sometimes it's worse. So if I back up, right, and then look at it again, then I know which way to go and then we're good to go. So I've been doing that as well. I know they say just write until it's done and then go back, but I have find that makes way more work for me and it's a lot harder to tackle it. So it's a lot easier to go back. If I was just not finishing anything, then write until it's done is great advice. But I do finish. I finish all the things. So I have to. It's just, if I don't want that editing to take forever, sometimes you got to go back. So that's interesting. I didn't know that's what his method was, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah. It's technically a one draft just because you're redrafting as you go, and it makes a lot of sense when you look into it rather than just thinking it's NaNoWriMo on steroids. No, it's his antithesis is NaNoWriMo, at least in his
Right.
philosophy. It works for a lot of people, so it's worked for me a lot too. It's what helped me actually learn to finish things.
Yep. I like it. I like it. Um, what is, since we talked about ice cream earlier anyways, and this is one of our hardcore questions, so we would like to know, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
At the moment,
Mhm,
it's either cookies and cream
mhm.
or I've seen it called Cookie Monster. It's where the vanilla ice cream is dyed blue and it has a mixture of Oreos, cookie dough, and brownies in it.
That sounds like
And
Safo's dream right there.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
either
That's
that
awesome.
or basically the Cookie Monster
Mhm.
ingredients and everything, but with the Cold Stone cheesecake flavor ice cream as the base.
I love their cheesecake flavored ice cream.
Yes.
That little bit of sour cuts through the sweet, and it's so good.
Yeah.
Yep, I
Their
agree.
cake batter is also really good with that combination.
Oh, I've not had the cake batter. Um, can zombies climb?
Depends on what kind of zombies. Because if you have ones that have some residual intelligence or hive mind, then
Hmm.
they can be more coordinated. Or if you have like hyper fast or hyper athletic ones, then they don't necessarily have to climb. They can just jump or scurry or do a Spider-Man thing. Whereas if you have shamblers that don't have a lot of intelligence or don't have a lot of coordination with each other, then definitely not. They just keep hitting the wall and try to go around it, or there's a really good game, or it's kind of a game, kind of an exercise app, Zombies Run. That storyline really explores it in a really cool way. It's like an audio drama, but you listen to it while you're walking, in my case, or running in other people's cases. It's really good storytelling.
That's awesome. He-Man or She-Ra?
I'm actually have never seen either,
Oh,
but knowing my inner 4-year-old, I'd probably pick Shira just because pink, glittery, sparkles.
I always wanted to find the little thing that hid. That was my favorite part. Can't even remember its name right now, but I would watch it just to find the thing that was hidden. Um, favorite thing to barbecue? What do you like to throw on the grill?
So, what I like other people to throw on the grill because I cannot grill is, well, okay, no, never mind. I take that back. I can do Japanese barbecue stuff.
Oh, there you go.
And for that I usually like doing chicken teriyaki or a tonkatsu, which is like a pork cutlet that's lightly fried in panko breading and stuff, and it has this delicious Japanese barbecue sauce.
I love
um,
Japanese barbecue sauce.
yeah, this one, it's a mix of soy sauce, kind of ketchupy, sugary sweetness. I
Mhm.
usually make it from scratch, but bulldog sauce is what people usually use for their katsu sauce, and it's delicious. So I
Mm.
like that. If not, then potatoes.
Yeah, you can always throw them in the grill. Always, always. Do you
Brisket's good
prefer?
too.
Yeah, we do. We smoked brisket's our favorite. Do you prefer cold weather or hot weather? You cannot say the perfect weather because that's
Oh no.
everyone. So you have to choose cold or hot.
I have lived in Florida most of my life, and survived Ohio close to Lake Erie for 3 years.
So you've
So
experienced both. Uh-huh.
Just because of driving conditions,
Uh-huh.
I will say hot.
Fair. Fair. Perfectly fair reasoning. So speaking of driving conditions, when was the last time you beeped your horn? I'm doing a survey. I want to see. I want to see how many people.
Maybe a couple months ago, but it was only because the person didn't see me and we were kind of like, I was in this lane, they were in the lane beside me. They
Okay.
were like going to change over into the lane I was in, and I couldn't really speed up or
Get out
slow
of the way.
down. So I had to like get their attention.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm usually the one people are beeping at because they think I'm driving too slow. And frankly, I'm going the speed limit so they can go around me.
I'm driving legally. I don't like to beep the horn. I just don't like it. So I want to see. I
Yeah,
just want to see. Yeah, yeah, awesome.
I don't like it either. It's too intimidating.
No, no, I don't like it. And I mean, we're in Texas. Who knows what people have in their cars at any moment? I'm not beeping my horn at anyone. No
Yep.
signals. I don't even look at people. I'm like not even looking.
Pick my lane, cruise.
Oh no, I drive. I have no patience. I need to get there. But I don't look at anyone. I can't. Nope, you never know. Um, so finally, you told us a little bit earlier, but we are in our last question, which is where can fans find you and your work?
I probably jumped the gun with that one.
All right, it's all good. So you said social media was like Brie_Tart.
That's my Instagram,
Instagram.
and website, brietart.com.
Hmm.
Facebook is, you'll find my author page, Brie Tart. Um, that's the one with my author picture with the long hair with the blonde tips. If you come across my personal one, you're not going to get it.
It's
uh, and Twitter is at Brie Tart as well. I'm exploring other social media channels as well. There's a TikTok that exists, but like it's kind of like Twitter. It's just whenever updates or I feel the urge. Mostly it's Facebook and but Facebook and Instagram that I frequent, and my website, of course. I really like just posting blogs now and again and updating that, and it's got everything there. It's just a nice little
I
pod.
agree, and I have more control over it.
Exactly. I like
I
my
can
pod.
control
I can
this.
control the pod conditions. And newsletter, though, is where everyone gets first look and news and peeks at things. So,
Absolutely. And I'm assuming they can join that through your website.
yep, it's got it
There you
right
go.
there. It's the Fey Underground.
Perfect. I love it. Well, thank you so much. Now that Brie is your new favorite author, please make sure to review her work. You can also review us wherever it is you get your podcast, or you can subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitch. And we'll see you next week with Lihia DeWitt and her debut novel, Touch of Fate.